Psalm 119, Day 14. Your rules are righteous. We'll be reading verses 73 through 80. Your hands have made and fashioned me. Give me understanding that I may learn your commandments. Those who fear you shall see me and rejoice, because I hoped in your word. I know, O Lord, that your rules are righteous, and that in faithfulness you have afflicted me. Let your steadfast love comfort me according to your promise to your servant. Let your mercy come to me, that I may live, for your law is my delight. Let the insolent be put to shame, because they have wronged me with falsehood. As for me, I will meditate on your precepts. Let those who fear you turn to me, that they may know your testimonies. May my heart be blameless in your statutes, that I may not be put to shame. Our thoughts for today center around verse 75. I know, O Lord, that your rules are righteous, and that in faithfulness you have afflicted me. There are many reality courtroom shows on television in the United States today, but the original show was called The People's Court. They took real cases, and with the agreement of the people, they presented them before the cameras and a popular judge. Wikipedia defines them as American arbitration-based reality court shows. Those presiding over the years were typically retired after many years serving as judges in higher-level courts, so they are not newcomers, so to speak. I don't recall a single case that I watched where the persons who received a negative judgment against them ever felt that they received a fair trial. They typically felt that the judge ignored the facts or was biased or any number of excuses of why they were not found innocent. It is rather typical for people to find excuses or place the blame on circumstances beyond their control. If we're late for an appointment, we blame the traffic. If our work has been subpar, we find something or someone to blame. If a potential hasn't been reached in our life, we blame those who were supposed to prepare us for life. If we have character flaws, wait for it, we blame our parents. But in today's passage, the author accepts responsibility and feels that the punishment meted out was just. The rules were fair. In short, he tells God and us, I got what I deserved from a fair system. If this was David, then we might choose from a number of instances in his life. Perhaps his affair with Bathsheba and the subsequent murder of Uriah might be a good example. When confronted with a sin, here is David's reply. I have sinned against the Lord, 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 13. David may have thought he could conceal his sin against Uriah, one of his trusted mighty men. But he knew when confronted he could not hide it from God. Were God's rules or judgments or laws unfair? Is it unreasonable that we should not be allowed to murder anyone we feel like? Or is thou shalt not commit adultery just too strict? How about coveting, lying, or stealing? Yes, these rules are righteous and exactly what we would expect from a righteous God. What David feels is genuine sorrow at having broken a commandment and an acceptance of punishment for his actions. We might consider what Paul writes in his letter to the church at Corinth in 2 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 9 through 11. He says, As it is, I rejoice, not because you were grieved, but because you were grieved into repenting. For you felt a godly grief, so that you suffered no loss through us. For godly grief produces a repentance that leads to salvation without regret, whereas worldly grief produces death. He contrasts godly grief to worldly grief. One is genuine and leads to a change of behavior. The other is more likely the regret at having been caught, but does little to effect real change. Are you apt to make excuses for your behavior? And Lord willing, we'll meet again tomorrow.